Hello. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Calling EU. Ring ring. Hello. That's my new thing now. It's not new. I've been doing it a little while now. I've got two awesome guests as per usual. They're back. Dylan Thompson and Bartosz Ziemba. How are you guys doing? Bartosz, I'll start with you.
Oh no, I'm doing really well. I just finished my uni work last week, and I'm free from the shackles of the public studying stuff.
You should get a soul shackle and just put it as uni shackle.
Oh yeah, that
How much
would be
coursework am I going to blood debt myself into?
good. Oh no, let's not talk about that.
And how you doing, Dylan? Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, good sir.
Yeah, it's St. Patrick's Day, so the Irish have a day off, so I've been spending that drafting terribly.
Oh, okay. With some beers?
Yeah,
some Guinness? Might be being
some Guinness, a few. But no, I'm also in uni as well, so I've been doing some work there and then kind of looking at Kobe. That was about it.
Yeah, that was a really cool event. Now, we've got 3 topics for you, everyone, today that Bartosz and Dylan has brought along, and one from the community as well. So if you do want to leave a topic for the next episode, just comment below on any of the topics, and the future guests will bring it up and we'll discuss it. But we'll start off with the first one, which I'm trying to remember. It is Bartosz who brought it. So the title is "Are Cards Overtreated?" Now, Bartosz, do you want to put a bit of context to this very short title?
Okay. So recently we saw that there are many more special treatments put on the cards in both sets and the calling promos. Before we only had extended arts, and even then not that many of them. But now recently, basically every calling had their special extended art promo. The side events got the special promo to that event, or now recently changed to that season of callings.
Mm.
The Protoss got one, and that's pretty good because there's an initiative to go to travel and to grab those promos by yourself, and if you don't want them, to mitigate some of the traveling costs. But my concern is that they've been slightly overused recently, especially in the gem packs. It always felt to me that extended arts or or especially the micro text boxes were supposed to be something really special and only allowed in the cases when the art deserved it. So LSS was pretty lenient with using it, and now the gem pack only has them in. And at least for me, and from what I heard some other collectors, it slightly diminished the special feeling you had whenever you opened or played with had the micro text ones or the special cold foil treatment one.
Yeah.
So I'm getting afraid that the Flesh and Blood will start overusing the special treatment as it happened with Magic the Gathering.
Sure.
So these are my thoughts on the topic.
Yeah, Dylan, what's your thoughts on what Bartosz has said?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I came from playing Yu-Gi-Oh, where they basically pump out a new rarity every set, and it eventually just kind of makes the cards not feel special. I feel it's well with them maintaining value. I remember kind of when Marvels first came out, when you pulled a Marvel, it felt like a big thing. Whereas now, these different art treatments they're not that special, but not even just the micro tech box, but some of the old Cold Foil Hero promos would remove the reminder text.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that stuff, but
Yeah.
I prefer stuff like that than overly pumping out with the gem packs every card's extended art or extended art foil. I get it's an incentive with their new armory system, so everyone feels like they're getting something special, but that kind of has diminishing returns on how special it is.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I kind of don't mind it too much from the armory perspective, because it's a way of making it, like you said, it's the way of making the armories feel special. But I think they probably got to probably pump the gas a bit more on like the calling promo stuff or like the participation stuff that you get from the callings. And from playing lots of previous games that are not Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or anything, so they're the big ones, right? But I remember playing some like older, little smaller games in context like Netrunner or Conquest. I don't know, they're Fantasy Flight games, and I did play another one called Warhammer Champions, and they did the whole a booster pack you get for an Armory night or a Friday Night Magic night. And when I heard Flesh and Blood were going to do that, I was a bit like scared because it really did flop quite hard on the Warhammer Champion stuff. And I think it only flopped hard because the treatment wasn't that crazy and it was a bit wild on what card you got. And they kind of threw it on lots of cards no one cares about. Like no one gives two hoots about having a bigger version card of, I don't know, some draft chaff that you just never played. But it's trying to strike that fine balance, and I think maybe their approach is in the probably in the right direction, but it's just about tweaking and adjusting what's good and what's not good. Whereas I think sometimes like the judge packs are a little bit wild on what they get, like cold foil, like Vinset, and the judges are kind of all going, and even the players are like, I can't even. No one wants to get it. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just that weird spot. Whereas I loved it when you got a cold foil hero from an RTN in the top 8 or something. That was like, I honestly still think that the Outsiders season was just like chef's kiss, like just right, because you got cold foil promos of the Ponder. Yeah, well, you got the Ponder and you got all the infections and all that sort of stuff. And you got that in the pre-release set. And I went to that. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to need these. I love the cold foil stuff. And then the heroes in the RTN, or was it ProQuest? No, it was the RTN. And you got a cold foil hero. I was like, oh, this is gas. And then if you want another RTN, I remember getting a cold foil Icelander. I was like, oh, this feels gas, man. And remove all the reminder text and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's sick. But now, yeah, it just feels bizarre to get a cold foil hero now. Considering as well, they also do the Marvels in the sets, which is it's so weird, isn't it? I feel like you want the Marvels, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm detracting too far from your point, Bartosz, but.
Well, it's also what I meant to mention, but couldn't fit it in the topic. So it's good that you started talking about it. Because of all the special treatments being put in the boxes, so that the product sells and actually has value whenever you open it. It made it so the pricing on the smaller stuff like RTN and ProQuest and even skirmishes got worse. Especially what you mentioned with the Marvels and Rainbow Foil versions. This time they at least made it so that Rainbow Foil versions have the extended border thingy. But other than that, like whenever you got that Rainbow Foil hero, if you didn't hit the one you wanted to play with, then you can't sell it because no one wants it.
Yeah, it is weird.
If you hit the one you wanted and you are really passionate about the hero, you probably got the Marvel. So like there's no use case scenario whenever you have anything to do with it. Maybe on the armory level someone will want it. But
weirdly enough, it has this weird position of where these Rainbow Foil heroes, is there less of them than there are Marvels?
You think so?
Probably.
Well, technically, if you're making, I don't know, like the rarity isn't. There's only a finite amount. Do you know what I mean? It's still technically only a finite. Like, I guess it doesn't matter. I guess people are clearly saying that I don't care if you only made so many. They suck. They don't look as good.
Yeah.
Like they just don't look as good, and they're bent because they've got the rainbow foil, and they're just pringled. You know what I mean? You're going to get this pringled up hero, and you're kind of going, sweet. I guess I'll just put this in between two books and forget it's there. And I'm being a bit, throwing this out there, but I know what you mean. The rarity's still there.
I don't like the Marvels in the set. Like I get that. I don't like the Marvel heroes in the set. I like Marvel cards, but like when the original History Pack 1 came out and they showed like the original 8 heroes as Marvels, like that was really cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Kind of a reward. But now, like, if I want a Marvel Aurora, I just buy product or I buy the card, and then the card's only like €80. The old Marvels used to be around 300, 400, like ridiculous prices. So it kind of showed, it let like investors or collectors like feel like their cards were worth something. But also, if you did buy that hero, like people knew you. Like I remember Pro Tour Lille, the History Pack like 1 set had just come out, and I was playing Dash, and I got a Marvel Dash, and I remember just like before every event, I'd like put it down, and people be like, "Oh, you got that already? That's so cool! Like you must really like Dash." Now, if you have a Marvel hero, people are just like, "Oh yeah, Marvel hero."
It's like
it's expected at this point. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
100%. And I remember sitting down, and everyone telling me, "Oh, you not got a Marvel Viserai?" I'm like, "Man, I got the Colorful Viserai from the Skirmish season 1." And I feel like that to me is like, that was a little. There's something. I know what you mean. There's something about getting the, like when you're putting it in the product, it's not it's not earn. Or I don't know, you could buy it from someone who won it, but it's just it's that weird place, isn't it? It doesn't. It still looks amazing. Like these Marvels, even the new heroes, they look stunning, and the whole thing is stunning. But I suppose it's just the box it's in feels less special than it did from like a Cold Foil Icelander was the winner of an RTN.
Yeah.
And if you rocked up with a Cold Foil Icelander, that's fair. That's a fair. Someone's won that. Do you know what I mean? Someone's won that. But like you said, a Marvel Aurora, someone's brought that. Like, there's no winners.
I think with the Icelander, the Coldfoil example, I think the way they did the Arachne mats this season, that you could get one of the 6 like Arachne mats.
Yeah.
Like, the gold foil market is a separate topic, but I think if they didn't release Marvel heroes in the set, but made like RTN prizes, like you get one of the random Marvel heroes, like that would be cool.
That would be cool. Is it? But yeah, that would be cool. And just to sort of, I suppose, really to go back to the topic of are cards overtreated. It feels like I honestly feel like the making the artwork a little bit bigger on a border and gem packs are, in my opinion, I think they're fine because they're just so whatever cards, and they're like I don't know, they're just commons and rares. But do you ever see anything more wilder than commons and rares in bigger picture form? Because that's all they are. They're just big pictures.
Well, that was all the previous ones. Like the first one was Twinning Blade, extended art from the first edition of Crucible, right? That was the first extended microtext one. Then whenever we got the Rampart and Stalagmite, these were the big ones because it's an equipment that's extended. That's the microtext, and that was the second and third treatment ever of such kind. And then it was pretty much reserved later only to Pro Tour promos. Like we got the Pro Tour Los Angeles energy potions that were with microtext, then Cyril of Solace from Barcelona. And my idea with microtext was that they will be really special treatment, only used in special cases. So Pro Tour pricing, like, or additional pricing. What they did with the calling promos, side event promos, the lightning presses, unmovables, and what's up. But then whenever it came out in the Armory products, like the weekly Armory pricing, it was okay. But now I thought that they will leave it be after the Rosetta season.
No,
and,
yeah.
But here but it seems like it's here to stay. And for me at least, it's Keys of Death in cold foil extended art microtext is still beautiful, but it's slightly less special because of how far and wide the extended arts are.
Yeah,
Right now.
it's a subject. I suppose really it's slightly a subjective take, I guess, isn't it? Because I suppose the depends on the card, right? It also, I think certain cards have this, like for example, I don't know, I know Art of War's banned or E Strike even. There you go, E Strike. If they did that, which I don't know how they're going to microtext it, so that's probably why they never will. But all right, maybe not that one. Like an old school Command and Conquer artwork, as that, like that will be at Worlds or something. And I know you'd sit there and go, ah. And again, I think I know what you mean. Bartosz is like, it doesn't feel too different.
Marvel?
It's the Marvel.
Oh yeah,
artwork.
Marvel Command and Conquer also had the microtext box. Yeah, it was one of the first 5 cards that had such treatment.
Yeah.
So for me,
See,
whenever
that's why
I
it's a good example.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You got me there. I think. No, I think you're right. Maybe they're just probably just making it like making more cards have microtext, big picture stuff. Maybe they just need to just. You know what? Maybe they could just sort of. You know how they did the Marvel Dragons. So, like that felt like super awesome and special in that set. The Marvel Dragons were just totally gas. So maybe there's like something that they could do in line with that for like Pro Tours and Worlds and so on. I'm not sure. It's I to be honest, I think they're on a journey, and I think by the time next year comes around, there'll be something else. Like the technology and development and everything just moves forward, and there'll be new, fun, interesting ways to make cards really cool. As long as they just don't go too Pokemon with it, because you know some of their cards are just like you're flexing your muscles, but I don't know what's going on at this point. Just get
It's too much.
I will just sort of like tie this in, because I remember we were saying about talking about this in the topic, and then I totally forgot, and we got a completely different topic. And I saw your tweet, Dylan, and gold foils. The gold foils. Since we're talking about cards getting overtreated, some cards getting undertreated. Like gold foils not getting the extended art.
The EA.
But if you did, isn't that going to make the now we've got more treated cards? What makes these?
Well, like
I know what you mean. Though.
Are different. Like
I know.
My example is like one of my gold foils was a redback shroud. And, like, the card's not playable, but like I'm even more disappointed that the card's not playable and it doesn't look like the cooler version if it's meant to be like this.
You want the gold foil at its coolest point, but gold. Not its most basic point, but gold. I know what you mean.
But there's a bunch of examples. Like there's the new Kabuto, like the new warrior headpiece. Is a gold foil now. That's not EA.
And I saw the crown as well. The crown dichotomy is not that. Yeah,
Empyrean Raptor. Like there's a bunch of them, and it's just frustrating. Like I don't know. Like
I think they've been. Well, I'll be honest. I bet you any money they've all been like sort of. They've all been printed, and I bet you they probably all just went. It would be cool if we could get the gas version of it, but I've already hit the print button, so we're going to use them. And then in the future, I could imagine them going, right, well, you see, if we do a cool version for these cards later on and we're going to print them in gold foil, should we just do them in cool version? And then they probably worked it out prior. But yeah, I totally agree. I think it would be cool if they do the coolest version of that card in the gold foil rather than the basic version. Is there anything you want to say about that as well, Bartosz, before we move on?
With gold foils, it always felt to me that I like the distinction that only the gold foils that were extended arts were only available through winning a calling or the big event, because that was the first. The gold foil tunic was like that, Stonewall Gauntlet, Balance of Justice, and Crown of Providence.
Mhm.
So that was really cool that it was like special treatment for the gold foils that were won, not like they were a prize, not a random gold foil.
Mhm.
So I kind of like that they are keeping the consistency, like they are keeping them all in the same boat, like all the gold foils you can get from the envelopes are not extended arts. I think it's not, the issue came from somewhere else, like because they started treating cold foils with extended arts, that became an issue, and not the other way around. So again, that's on the point of them overusing the treatment, special treatment. Like we only had one cold foil legendary extended art per like 2 sets, or maybe even per 3 sets. Like it was really special treatment that was only for the chosen pieces, and that was the whole uproar after they printed Stalagmite and Rampart of the Ram's Head, that they were the kind of extended art legendaries. But now they made it so that every cold foil is an extended art, basically. It's rarer to see a legendary that's not extended art than it is to see an extended art legendary. So
In cold foil, yeah, I know what you mean. There is times
like you
where
can't get, like you can't get like normal cold foil traverse the universe. You can only get the EA.
the EA, same for Kasaya. This set we have extended art Kabuto, the
Face
chest.
Purgatory.
yeah, face
chest,
purgatory.
Purgatory from the last set. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, before we move into, we're going to have a mini topic here, right? I'm just going to get rid of this. Mini topic now. Can you stop putting faces on chess pieces?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Can you stop putting faces on extended
so
art
bad.
chess pieces? Please, can we stop doing that? It does my head in. When I get a Dideric Carapace and I don't even get the extended art. I just go, nope, just want the chest. Why? Because I don't want to see a woman's whole body, full armored face. And then I go, and then he's got 2 heads on. No, stop, please. I don't like it. It does my head in. I loved Flesh and Blood when I first brought it. There's your hands, there's your chest, there's your foot, and there's your head, right? And I loved it when they don't put a face in the helmet. Just give me the helmet. I just want to see, like, Crown of Providence. It's gas. When you saw Tunic and you saw the chest, that's it. And then when you started seeing the foot, you're like, no, I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that. I love the armor. Like if you saw a video game, you saw when you select armor for I don't know, you're playing a Path of Exile 2. I don't know, whatever. You don't have a dude in it, do you? just I just want to see the cool. I want to see the cool sword. If they they do that with the weapons, right? Here's the weapon. They wouldn't put a guy's hand on it, would they? There's a guy holding the weapon. So I don't understand why they're doing it with the armor pieces. There you go. Am I in the wrong? Am I talking nonsense here? Or
No, it's a big
I agree.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern whenever they printed the Addict. Like, I love the art by itself, but having it on the board together with another hat, like you had 2 faces.
Looks strange.
Kendall's Spring Tunic is also in that, but we can say that it was the first extended art gold foil. It was so special that by it being a special piece, then it might get that treatment. But all the other faces on the chest is a no-go for me also. That's why I love the blood splattered vest this set, because they made extended art on the bottom part and not shown the guys.
Oh
yeah.
So that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So hopefully they stay on that course and not faces again.
I'd love to just still, like, for example, the Kamainu. No one will know what it is. It's that ward, and it's just got and it just looks like it's got the Komainu thing draped over something.
Poibless kimono.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That feels like a piece of equipment, and especially the Crown of Providence. It is perfect. It is a helmet mantled somewhere. It is perfect, and you know all that. And when you see stuff like, again, I don't know, Craterfish. Craterfish, you could sort of get away with it. Valiant Dynamo is perfect, absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Azalea's flipping cross. What's it? Skullbone cross.
Skullbound,
Who's that?
Crap. Yeah.
Who's that guy in it? Just anyway.
I don't know, some of them are cool. Like Arcanite.
No, they look cool. I'm not saying the artwork doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It's just here's an old man next to Azalea, and you got Riptide, and you got the Hope. What's it? The Hope. What was
New Horizon.
New Horizons. What the hell was that? Look at Riptide, and then his. What's going on? Why can't we just have a hood? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm waffling on. Right, Dylan, let's go on to your topic. Right. Here's the title. Are restrictive cards restrictive? Lay it down to me. What do you mean?
So like the basic like the main example would be Belittle and Trot Along. Like these cards that seem like they should have big deck building restrictions, but are actually very applicable to a lot of decks. Like I feel sometimes they're very successful, and then sometimes they're not at all. Like a good example would be Nourishing Emptiness.
Yeah.
Where like you have decks that will just put one in, like Kano or some warriors, and like it works. It's cool when it happens. It happens.
Or
but then
when or Verdants, for example, when you can put 3 copies in, but you deck build
decompose
to decompose them. It's cool.
Yeah.
And then
like
bad examples are
sometimes Belittle. Like Belittle and Phi was a bad example. Like Belittle and Phi was just like an auto include that did so much for the deck.
And
but,
Chain
like,
back in the day, you just go
Chain as well.
Yeah, oh, bro. Yeah.
But like when Matthew Fox played like Belittle Briar, that was hype. Like that was cool.
Yeah,
Like,
and then and I remember seeing some Belittle Viscerai decks back in the day as well, when Viscerai was just putting Shrill, all that sort of stuff. I mean, it is cool. Don't get me wrong, but anyway, sorry to continue your point.
So just like sometimes it feels that they are well used, and other times it feels like they're kind of forced or just fit in too easily. Like Tome of Imperial Flame was another one.
Yeah.
That's kind of like I want cool deck building in the game, but I don't want it to feel like, oh, you just auto include this card. Like Florian running Trot Along now, like it's cool.
Yeah.
But there's no restriction being used. The sword is the 3 cost. But like if there was like a Highlander kind of effect, like, or if you only run lightning cards in your deck and when you play this you get a bonus, like that would be cool to me. Like more restrictive.
Sure. So it's a weird one, isn't it? While I'm pondering on this, Bartosz, have you got anything you wanted to say on Dylan's topic?
Well, it really feels like some cards are forced and some cards are supposed to be restrictive but are not. Like the example of Trot Along is great, or Belittle, because there are some decks that just utilize them and they don't care about there is no downside to running them. Like Chain had Belittles in because all his cards were free power anyway. Same for Phi. Trot Along now is a good upgrade, but also if we had it printed in the Chains era, then Chain would be running it without any restrictions because it's a blue block free go again non-attack that gives go again. So feels like a restrictive card that only works in some decks, but it's basically designed to be put in. And as Dylan said about the Tome of Imperial Flames, whenever they printed it out, it was forced, like you were forced to play it in Dromai because the Dromai was underwhelming without it and was pretty broken with it. So a lot of such things happening from time to time, like of loyalty now we have, and it should be restrictive that you can't play with it. Because like it should be hard to have it in because it's draconic and it forces you to only play draconic, but they are playing draconics anyway, and it kind of like the card is so good that it forces you to play it, and that makes it that you can't play that many generics. So it's like two sides of the blade situation. Like you are forced to include it because it's so good, but then you can't include other cards. And if it wasn't printed, then you would have more freedom for the deck building part.
I can feel Brian Gottlieb walking in here now going, yeah, isn't that the point of here's some power, but the deck restrictions come with it. And then, like you said, Dylan, and I think that's probably why they got rid of Belil. And here's my thing. If you see that dwarf on a card, it's probably good, right? That's my, so far, take on Flesh and Blood so far. That dwarf is showing up with some, if you see him on the art, it's probably a good card, right? I even... I mean, that's what, yeah, that dwarf is broken. That's the topic. But I think maybe it's like the ask of stuff around, like, for example, Belittle. The ask was kind of not a high, it wasn't a high ask. Cards below 3. Well, okay, well, that does open doors for quite a lot of other people. So 3 isn't exactly a hard number to reach. There is some cards that sort of still do this, and they turn around and say, like, 1 power, like, for example, like New, really focuses in on the 1 power stuff. If your base power is like 1 or less, some extra stuff comes along. And I think that's really cool when you can actually like tie in some generics to sort of help bump up multiple different avenues of different heroes that can sort of lean into the same sort of thing. But I think 3 is a little bit more open and free. So I think that it's all kind of subjective to the sort of type of deck building. Now, I actually think that on the other end, Bartosz, with the power of like that 0 for 4 card that says you can only play Draconics, I've played a hell of a lot of Viscerai and understand what that means. When you pick up certain heroes, they literally say, I mean, you can, but it's probably not a great idea to sort of lean in way too heavy. And when you get certain cards like that, it does feel a bit like, well, I mean, is it the card O for Loyalty? Is that the 0 for 4 Patriot? Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a Draconic hero, like, sure. I mean, like, you would. Why not put it in, right? It feels like. I don't think it's as crazy as the book that turns around and goes, you can draw 2 and then you had to pitch 2 reds. That was specifically like that one just felt like a complete massive power creep for Dromai, but it's just dead in the water for everyone else. So it's kind of subjective to what hero are we talking about. So,
like, I think the issue with Belittle is it limits design space around making decks that are free and less power based. But when you have, like, I really like that Belittle Briar deck because, like, Briar, like, the first thing you think about is 0 for 4. But then by, like, just ticking down, like, the quality of your cards, you're getting this new access with, like, creepers and stuff that you're allowed to use, and it creates these, like, really explosive kind of turns, whereas like normally it's just like 0 for 4, 0 for 4, block out really well. And it was cool to see 2 ways to build a deck.
Yeah. I do agree. I think Belittle's was very good, and I quite liked its modality of being able to be more creative with deck building. But it was also pretty broken. So kind of like the cost of a lot of things were sometimes it was just too high, if that makes sense. Like, I love the idea of being very deck buildy, but yeah, turns out when Viserai's doing it, in my opinion, I'm like, Christ Almighty, who the hell, bloody hell is it? Like, if this Belittle was still in now, wow. Well, Fire will be living legend by now for sure, but Syndra's going to use it. Aurora will probably start tapering down its 0 for 4s to fit it in, and who knows?
Yeah, but that'd be cool to me. Like they'd put.
But then
like,
wouldn't
I'm
everyone just be a
playing-
Belittle deck?
Yeah, I like the little.
Oh right,
But,
is this the topic? This is the topic. Dylan wants
I
Belittle
like
back.
the dwarf.
Oh, okay. Well, Bartosz, is there anything else is there anything else either of you guys want to say about this topic before we move on to the final topic?
I think we are done.
Yeah, Dylan. Anything? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring Belittle back. Is that what the title should be? Oh my Belittle!
Print him as a hero. Make it a specialization.
Yeah.
I'll only play him.
And then just coming in for 3s. Yeah, you'll find out that this dwarf is a warrior, and you go, "Oh no! Everything's attack reactions
no.
for 3."
Oh, it's a warrior. Now it's bad.
It's
Oh.
bad. Boo. Oh, they'll probably just do a dual class and a guardian warrior. Ooh.
Sounds like a lot of fridge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds.
That would be bad.
That would.
That would be...
It's an Earth Ife Guardian Warrior. There you go.
Or you would have Dynamo and swing with 2 hammers each turn. That would
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 2 Titan Hammers. You could trot along. Hey. You could trot along. Oh. Could you? Oh no! You could trot along. Titan's Fist.
Oh no, you can trot along on the hammer because its base power is 3 and it pumps up to 4.
Yeah.
That works. That works.
Moving on. We might have broke the game, everyone. Pro Tour London. All right. Okay. And a bit of a weird, controversial one. I don't know. We'll see. It's the Fab narrative on the EU week. So this is a bunch of EU guys talking on an EU channel, talking about how our narrative is weak. So just give us a moment, all you Americans, right? You know, just give us a minute. Just give us a minute, right? Now, here's my sort of take on this: is that it feels it, right? It's not fact. It just feels it. Yeah, and you've got a lot of conversations going on. It feels like a lot of conversations are going on in America, and the Asian scene is kicking off really, really, really well. And I think it makes sense for James White and everyone down that end to give it that extra push because they're from that end. Do you know what I mean? It is down that end. It's their region. But the EU kind of just feels, I don't know. It feels like it's a little bit somewhat in the middle. And I don't want to kind of ham on this a little bit too much as well, but we've got the Pro Tour London coming up. And then all of our, I don't know, I mean, the voices of the EU scene, it is getting somewhat pushed out. I mean, I've been invited to do an article, and we had the awesome Scott Mines been doing some articles as well. But then when you saw the casting stuff, I don't know, it's just if it wasn't for Scott Mines doing that awesome article, I felt like I brought out some really, really good names. They brought he mentioned you, Bartosz, mentioned Rob Catter, and mentioned some, and that was the first time I was like, oh yes, we're really getting some love here. But that's because we've got the guy on the floor recognizing the area a bit, and then on the casting side of things, just didn't seem to have any EU representation a bit. I don't know. It just feels like the EU side is a bit weak. That's how I feel. I've been feeling about this for a lot. This is why I've even made this whole channel up. Well, not this whole channel for that reason. This whole series about trying to get that narrative going as much as I can. But it really does need that push from LSS as well to sort of. That's what I think. What's your thoughts, Dylan? Is that am I just kind of not getting it? Am I in the corner somewhere crying?
The game's very young, so I'd like to see some kind of statistics on like which areas the game profits off the most, which I imagine would be America, and pushing it into Asia as well, because they seem to promote that region a lot as well.
Mm.
Like
Well, Japan especially.
and like these are just larger kind of like when you talk about America, you have this big area of America. With EU. Like usually they tend to like point at countries or players from specific countries instead of looking at Europe, which
Well,
is
yes, it's technically the right thing to do because I imagine it would be quite infuriating that you're not like you want to represent Poland, you want to represent Ireland, and I want to represent the UK, and we are all different countries with our own different cultures, and it spans back quite a long way. So it's very deep ingrained that we want to keep our culture going, rather than just it's the EU region. Well done, everyone in the EU. You go all 20 different bloody languages kicking off. Whereas America is just one.
America.
It's just America, isn't it? It's just one country.
But like it's interesting because I don't know how like obviously Flesh and Blood, the creators are very passionate about the flesh and blood aspect, and a lot of the European teams have like the jerseys, like the flags, like very prideful about where they're from, representing where they're from. And so do the Asian regions, like you have Hong Kong with Team Blue Pitch, and
Yeah.
I remember like the South Korean players, even though the game was just new at Worlds, they had the jerseys and everything. Like these regions are very like proud about it. I don't know why they don't highlight that more because I don't see that from the USA, but I don't know.
I don't know. It's kind of the thing is I'm not going to turn around and say that I'm right in this feeling, but I don't think that I'm wrong in feeling this way either. Like if that's I think that's I'm not going to talk for everyone in EU, and I'll let you say your bit, Bartosz, before I carry on. Am I talking nuts?
Well, I don't think you are. Well, for sure, especially recently, whenever they announced the King of Games tournament for Japan, I was slightly like sad that it wasn't like the promotion the Asian region gets is great because they are new to the game. They need that to promote the game there.
Mm-hmm.
And for the game to grow. So all around, it's really good that it's happening.
Yeah.
But it feels like we are always getting the shorter end of the stick.
Mm.
The only thing we had that was kind of special for us was the Battle of Champions in Utrecht, but it was like 2 or 3 years ago already. So pretty far off.
Yeah, I remember. I attended that.
A
I
year
remember
one,
that.
yeah.
That was that. It was. Yeah, I remember that. That was the only event I actually attended.
Yeah, so that was really cool. But it feels like we are always on the like. It feels like LSS doesn't acknowledge that we also need some love and some attention, and like the whole attention is put elsewhere, and we will somehow manage, and we will still be playing the game, even though we are not getting that much recognition as the other agents.
Yeah, it's
Because we keep doing so well.
yeah.
maybe because of that.
I tell you what's also very hard, and I think it's very, very, very important that we point this out as well, is that this is how people feel, and it's also very difficult to try and capture the right thing, because I'm probably going to take, like, I'm putting this probably very toxic sort of topic out there, and it could quite well be that I actually do think that LSS don't purposely do this. I do not believe that for 1 second. I think there's also a factor to play in there that where are you getting this information from, LSS? And that's probably going to be social media, right? It's probably going to be Facebook or Twitter. I mean, or Instagram if you're looking at it through that lens. And then you're probably going to get circulated with whatever feed that system is going to give you. So you have to sort of manually go into, if you want to see how much they're actually pushing a topic, probably don't base that on what you're looking at your feed, because I find that highly unreliable, and it's only going to give you what you are engaging in. So if it's controversial or whatever, or if it's going to make you annoyed, trust me, Twitter will want to give you it to get you annoyed, to keep you engaged in the service longer. But the best thing to do is to look at Flesh and Blood, to go onto their actual thing and look at all of the actual posts. And it is a bit of a, why would I do that? Trust me, I agree. Why would you do that? But before we all get a little bit cross, just see how much are they actually pushing. But I get this feeling about the narrative side of things is when you hear the commentators getting animated over certain things, when you see the it's the level of, you can tell when the people who are talking, their level of interest about certain subjects. So when you see the Fab devs or the commentators from all the events and the articles that are being written, and you sort of correlate that all together, and you sort of go, okay, what do I consistently keep feeling I hear a lot of, and why do I know a lot about these things? Is because that is also the consistent information that I'm kind of getting given. If you say something enough, it becomes normal, and that's what politicians do. You just say the thing that the policy that they want to say a lot. And in our case in the UK, there's a 22 million black hole. There's a 22 billion black hole. There's a 22 million black hole in the funding. You just say it a lot, everyone will go, oh, okay. It don't really matter where it come from, but if you say it a lot, that's what it means. And that's why I think we don't have a lot of consistent enthusiasm when it comes to certain things around EU stuff. It feels like I've got to try a little bit more harder to sort of dig in when it comes to EU narrative. Apart from some one or two narratives, they loved Matt Folks and they loved Pablo Pintor, and that narrative held strong, and it was sick, and they went for it, and they're gone, and that's a success story. But feels like that's about kind of it. And especially when I've seen the commentators go on as well. And that's why I really want to get like the Pro Tour London, when I really wanted to have probably like Scott Mines. He did a fantastic job at Prague. And I just know that he's going to find you, Dylan, and you, Bartosz, and Rob Catton, and you know, Daniel Chris. It's not just all the names that I'm listing off, just other people who have done very, very, very well, and just tell that story, get everyone viewing to know more than just what the same sort of things going on. Does that make sense?
I think it is a social media thing when it comes to when you're looking at, you know, the average commentator or, you know, an American commentator, is that their exposure is mostly American locals and then what they see on social media. But the thing is, I've noticed kind of rewatching games is when the higher ups are commentating, like Brian Gottlieb and those types, even Sam.
So you got it's Sam Punkage and Brian Gottlieb are your three premier tier 4. You're going to see them, right? That's fair.
When they're commentating, like I remember watching Worlds with Gregorz, and Brian Gottlieb was singing like tons of praise. Like he's very good in Magic. I only know that from Brian. Like he said that he's a name in TCGs.
Yeah.
And same with Francesco. Like a lot of commentators wouldn't acknowledge how many achievements he has. But when Brian was commentating one of his games, I'm not sure which event, I think it was Prague actually, just tons of praise, tons of good credit. And I think the higher ups are seeing it, but the average commentator wouldn't know, like the EU players or that.
Yeah, I think you're, and it's as well that it. I think maybe that's it. The storytellers of who are the big fab storytellers are the few, and they know what they know, and it's not a dig on them because it's only fair that you know what you know. I'm not gonna if they turn around and said, "Hey," which they're not. But if they did and said, "Hey, Hamish, do you want to just say a bit about Pro Tour while in Pro Tour London?" Let's say I got the gig and I speak to many different people, and they some dude from I don't know, Hong Kong, Singapore, anywhere shows up. I'm not gonna know, and they're gonna probably beef on me, right? So I totally get it. It's not totally fair, but that's not my job. Go get someone who's an amazing storyteller from that region, who's networked as hard or whatever, to be there. And I'd love to just sit there and go, you tell me how great this guy is. And he's like, yeah, this guy's like really good. He was like a pro One Piece player over here, and he did all this over there. And we're like, oh God, this guy seems like the biz. Do you know what I mean? And let me tell you about, I don't know, this guy has won a couple of armories, Dylan, right? He's crazy good at it. I'm joking. But you know what I mean?
Armories, yeah.
I'm only winding you up. But you know what I mean, though. I think it's we need to. It's about getting more stuff out there, and I suppose really it's also just it's hard because it's also engagement on content as well, and Fab content is starting to absolutely ramp up massively, and there's a lot more people joining the scene. So you're just getting more diluted out in terms of being able to try and get that story heard. But I suppose really when big stages come up, it's about going, right, well, LSS's narrative building job is to go, who's been gathering a lot of information around this area? I think it's worth you telling this story. And Scott Mine's article about what to look forward to was it was brilliant. Really, I read it and sort of just went, yeah, every one of these names, I recognise it. I feel as a UK player that Europe has been, it's a good start. It's a good start. It's a really good start. We should have more of that, like region breakdown stuff. I think that should be really cool just to help build up that player, what's going on narrative for everyone to sort of digest and see. I don't know.
That might get better now if we have Scott Mines doing that, because maybe that was the issue before, that there was never a person from EU that was making the articles and like showing around what people are worth watching over or looking forward to playing with or seeing on the stream.
Yeah.
But that was my case with what I mentioned, the situation with Gregor and Mercy, because there are many such people as because last year whenever we had a champion from EU, the world champion from EU, the Greek.
Alex.
Yeah, Alex. He also was mentioned like once, and that was all. We have more players like Ian Zhang being ninth twice at the Pro Tour, and he's never mentioned. Also, like he is mentioned, but not as much as other people from other regions would be, I believe. Max Klein being two-time top Pro Tour top 8, and also not being as mentioned as many times as others from the other regions would be.
Yeah.
I recently got recognition, but I was in the Pro Tour finals twice. It feels like it feels like we are slightly being abandoned, but that might be because we didn't ever had a person like you said, Hamish, like a local that knows the people around the region and can say something about them in the article on the official Flesh and Blood page. So it should change for the better now.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially from Scott Mines, he's a very good talker, absolutely brilliant writer. I wish I could write, otherwise I'd be trying to gun for that spot as well. But I just do these instead, so I do try. But well, anyway, that was again, just want to point this out. I think that last topic, which is something that I just wanted to throw in there, it's how we feel. It's not a fact. So please, everyone, save the wooden sticks. It is, if you feel that we're talking like absolute nonsense, I completely respect it, and it's empathy, isn't it? And it's not about trying to shut down what people feel. It's about trying to sort of just empathize. This is how you feel about it, and then on the same breath as well, it's just taking a step back to go, how I feel isn't exactly completely right. But if enough people feel that way, there's got to be something worth listening to feel something about it, to sort of have to pause and think. There you go. Right. Well, that was a That was a hefty one. Dylan was like, this is not what I was expecting. This is not what I wanted for a St. Patrick's Day. I'll tell you that much.
Oh no, it's good. I was debating I don't know. There's some American players who like top eighted a calling like 4 years ago that like every time they're on stream they get called out. It's like, oh, this player's great, this player's great. And then there's EU players that again top like the Pro Tour twice and don't get as much recognition.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose really as well. I just saw, I was kind of like, oh my god, I hope they remembered that Rob Catton, who has just been in the top 8 in the first ever Worlds, got top 8 in this one, and they didn't actually say, hey, it's Rob. He did get the top 8. I was like, whew. But I shouldn't have to feel like, whew, they remembered.
Yeah, exactly.
You should be going. Of course they remember. Well, like, they should be singing about this. Do you know what I mean? And I suppose really it's always gonna feel that when Shamir got into the top 4 Pro Tour Lille, and this is no shade to anyone, this is years ago, so whoever said it and however they said it, they didn't know. But I remember they said, oh, Shamir, the dude that's won a couple of armories, is now in the top. Yeah, they said that. And we were like, this guy's like he's no slouch, and he's been doing really, really well at like multiple events, won multiple RTNs, got into it's just like this dude won a couple of armories and he's in second place in the Pro Tour. It's just a bit like okay. And I think a lot of people ever since that moment, now every time someone comes on, I'm like, it's Bartosz, this guy. He's won a couple of armories, man. This guy's serious business. Anyway,
when you said I won a couple of armories,
yeah, no, that's my point.
My nationals isn't that soft.
No. No, I always call it the Shamir thing. Oh, this guy's won a couple of armories, man. He's pretty good. Yeah. All right, I'll leave it there. Thanks, everyone. See you later.